Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com. In this tutorial, we're going to look at defining beans using annotations. So we've been kind of taking stuff out of the XML here and moving it into annotations. And you might wonder if you can also get rid of these bean definitions and do those using annotations as well. And the answer is yes, you can. So I've got a working project here, and I'm going to start by getting rid of these bean definitions from the XML. I'm going to go to the context tab of the XML and right click the beans root element and go to insert context : component scan. And that has a base package attribute, and I'm going to type I'm going to type the name of the package where I put my beans, the classes that I want to use as beans. Let's do Control Space and see if we can use autocomplete. So I'll select my bean package and save that. So what this has done, if we look at the source, is it's added this context : component scan XML element with the base package attribute set to the package name where I've put all my beans, which happens to be this one here, probably different in your project. So the next thing we need to do now is define which of these particular classes are going to be beans. So if I run this now, it won't work, we'll get an error. But let's go to logger.java, and above the class definition here, I'm going to put in the annotation component. So very simple, just to say that this is a component, and I'll just add the import there. And let's just copy this because I also want to add it to console writer here. Save that along with the import and log writer. No, that's my interface, and file writer actually. Those are my three beans that I had before. And now let's try to run this. And it doesn't work, and I'm sure there's still ambiguity in here. So let's take a closer look at what we're doing. So for one thing, I've got some names in here that I want to get rid of. Let's get rid of these names, because at the moment I haven't named any of my beans, but I will do in a minute. And I'm just going to pare this down so we've just got the inject annotation here. Or we could use auto-wired or something else instead, it doesn't matter. But I'll stick to inject for the moment. And let's try to run this and see if this works. And it does work. Now this, as I mentioned, inject seems surprisingly good at figuring out ambiguities. And we have got ambiguity here because we're injecting a log writer here, but both console writer and file writer implement that interface. Come to think of it, I think the reason this is working is because Spring's already used one bean here, and then it says, okay, I've only got one bean left that implements that interface, so I'll wire it in here. Now that I think of it, I'm sure that's the reason why this works. But even so, I don't like to have ambiguity like this. So let's go to the file writer bean here and give it a name. So in round brackets after component, I can put in double quotes a ID or a name for this bean. I think this is actually an ID. I'll save that, I'll call it file writer. And then in logger here, I can put under here a named annotation, and I can supply the ID in there. So I can say value equals and file writer. And if I run that now, it still works. Let's just see what happens if I put the wrong name in there. Will it still work? I'm not sure. It doesn't work. Okay, so that's good, which gives us a degree of confidence that it is actually doing something. So the bottom line is here, that the point I'm trying to make is that you can supply an ID for your component just by putting it in brackets in double quotes here, but you don't have to, and you can just use component like this, and then you'll have a bean as you expect. So that's it for this tutorial, and until next time, happy coding.